Okay, we'll start with this. I'm sure all of you have heard by now about MVP's Supercard, set to go down later on this year in November, where Alicia Baumgardner will be main eventing opposite the ring champion Elif Turan in what will be Alicia Baumgardner's bid to become a two-weight world champion and take a step towards that long-anticipated Caroline Dubois showdown. That if she can beat Elif Turan for the blue belt, ladies and gentlemen, we may have ourselves a fight, of course. Caroline Dubois must hold up her end of the bargain this weekend opposite the Ring America's own Amelia Moore, who will be challenging her for her alphabet titles, and I anticipate that Caroline is going to take care of business. She's going to do the job. Now, will Alicia in November opposite the ring, one of the more dangerous punchers anywhere at or around these weights? You could argue that while Alicia has power, and so does Caroline, Elif Turan may actually be a bigger puncher than the both of them in what will be Elif's MVP debut since Matchroom inked a co-promotional deal to share their girls with MVP. She is sort of fighting for her career here. That Elif Turan, if she falters in this title defense, I don't know what's going to happen with her. 31 years old to Alicia, who is 32, and more experienced than Elif Turan. They've got close to the same number of fights. Elif's got 14, where Alicia's got about 19. But Alicia has faced the better fighters overall. Her quality of competition is head and shoulders above Elif Turan's. And so you have to give the edge and experience to Alicia Baumgardner, who, while new to the weight, has been in there with better fighters than Elif Turan has. Scheduled for 10 2-minute rounds in the women's lightweight division. What do I think is going to happen? No 3-minute rounds, huh? Doesn't look like it. When the opening bell sounds, Elif Turan is going to charge at Alicia Baumgardner, throwing bombs the way she charges at everybody, throwing bombs, sacrificing a great deal of defense in doing so. She really commits to her power shots. So the same thing that makes her a very dangerous puncher is the same thing that makes her a very flawed boxer. What she lacks in skill, she makes up for in devastating knockout power, but a great deal of her punches, they are telegraphed. You can see them coming, and these are not defensible punches, to where a skilled operator who can keep their poise and keep their wits about them will have many countering opportunities opposite the ring Elif Turan, and I believe that Alicia is such a fighter. She can do it. Work off the counter, weaving under the sweeping hooks, the counter over the top, slipping and countering, rolling and countering, catching and countering. Alicia is, by and large, a more fundamentally sound fighter than Elif Turan. The caveat with her, though, is she does have a tendency to fade down the stretch in the later rounds. Remember that Elif Turan, for better or worse, sets a frenetic pace for a fight. She's gonna keep coming after you, barreling forward and throwing punches in bunches, and all of it comes at the expenditure of your energy reserves. Catching and countering and moving and keeping up with her, keeping her off of you. It all costs something, as there is no such thing as a free lunch. This is not the fighter you want to get tired with in the later rounds, because she packs a big enough punch. She could stop Alicia Baumgardner. She could actually stop a lot of girls if she can land clean. Alicia has to make sure that doesn't happen. I am leaning towards her to win and lift the blue and gold title from Elif Turan. Beyond that, Alicia Baumgardner herself said, and tell the beanhead, don't get quiet now. All that quote-unquote she ducked 135 talk. Now I'm fighting the champion y'all said everybody was avoiding. Stand on it,
fucking bitch.
To which Caroline Dubois responded, congratulations, coward. I know those 5 pounds were terrifying. Must burn. Not getting the fights you wanted. Nah, this works perfectly for me, punk. Make sure you win, and I'll be seeing you next year. No more running. Alicia originally had her heart set on perhaps an Amanda Serrano showdown, a Katie Taylor showdown, but as we all know, those two fighters are set to bow out in the not-so-distant future. It was never likely that Alicia was going to get those fights, but should you fault her for trying? A lot of people did, saying that pursuing those fights with those fighters that are unlikely to happen is no reason to put Caroline on the back burner, but it would seem that Caroline has become the priority now. You won't get this same kind of buzz around a Clarissa Shields fight.
Tell you that right now.
Clarissa Shields, who just so happens to be Carolyn's mentor. Carolyn just so happens to be her attack dog.
USA versus the UK.
Carolyn is coming along as a fighter and as a champion, adding names to her resume and amassing experience. Will it be enough, though, to beat Alicia Baumgardner? That all depends on how Alicia looks with Elif Turan. Some say that Alicia hasn't been looking that sharp, looking that good her last few fights, but you could say something similar about Carolyn.
Carolyn didn't look spectacular with Terry Harper. She won, but she didn't batter her and stop her the way she promised.
She has since left her longtime trainer, Shane McGuigan, to train in the United States with Manny Robles.
So maybe we end up seeing a better version of Caroline Dubois this weekend, and maybe that makes the job a lot harder for Alicia Baumgardner when the time comes.
And what becomes of the 3 alphabet titles that she currently holds? Because we know she's going to drop them. It's not likely she's going to toggle between 130 and 135. In her absence, Layla Boudoir of Canada, who Alicia already fought and already beat, she's in a pole position to become WBA champion in her absence.
That's via the WBA, via the WBO. Young Puerto Rican upstart and MVP fighter Elif Soto is ranked at number 1.
She is in a pole position to become the next WBO champion in the absence of Alicia. And finally, via the IBF, Martina Raihi of Italy is ranked at number 1. She is in a pole position to become the next IBF champion once Alicia is gone. So the landscape is already changing at 130 pounds now that Alicia is finally moving up to 135.
We'll talk more about the fight as the fight date approaches.
And now it's time for another installment of what has fast become the most popular segment here on the channel. Not the Ring IQ hate mail, but the Ring IQ mailbag, which is a bit more friendly. In my previous video, we talked about how it seems that Gary Antoine Russell and Shakur Stevenson have made an agreement behind closed doors that they're not going to go after each other in the near future. To that, Corey D.
And how I'm saying that Shakur doesn't seem interested in unifying his own division if he's putting an available fight with an available champion on the back burner.
Corey said Shakur never said he didn't want to unify at 140. He specifically said he didn't want Undisputed because he didn't want to do business with the World Boxing Council. He's open to fighting Gary, which is a unification bout. Gary's the one that keeps talking about building the fight up. And in that clip he said he's in negotiations for another fight and won't give any more news until after his brother's fight.
Well, here's the thing. If he's already ruling out fighting for the green and gold title, that means we can't expect him to go after Dalton Smith.
One way or another, we can't expect him to go after the black and gold title, the WBA title that Gary's got.
I don't see Shakur Stevenson pressing him for a fight.
And even if he were, Gary Antoine Russell wants to build it up even more. So I guess that fight isn't likely to happen in the near future either. You then have the vacant IBF title, what's set to be the newly crowned IBF champion in the fight between Landolfo Delgado and Artur Byarzlanov.
I haven't seen Shakur Stevenson make any mention of going after that belt either.
All we ever hear about Shakur these days is who he doesn't want to fight and what he doesn't want to do. That he doesn't want to fight O'Shaquie Foster because he's too small. He doesn't want to fight Keyshawn Davis because that's his friend. He doesn't want to do Undisputed because he doesn't want the green and gold title. But he's not ready to fight at a full 147 pounds either. He's not ready to move up. So what the fuck is he going to do? What is he ready to do? Because in case you haven't noticed, the guy that he fought and the guy that he beat in his last fight already fought again since then. But where's Shakur?
What does it say that Shakur Stevenson fought and beat Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo's already had another fight, already won another belt, at another weight, and Shakur...
Where is he? What is Zuffa Boxing paying this guy to do? Because like I always say, he's wasting time. And time is the one thing you don't get back. You can lose a belt and win it back. You can even win back some money. But time, when it's gone, it's gone.
You can only make up for lost time, but you can't get the time back. And if Shakur Stevenson is doing anything, he's wasting time.
Whatever momentum Teofimo lost losing to Shakur earlier this year, he's already gotten back this past weekend. But where is Shakur? Because he's the one making more money. There was this big hullabaloo about Zuffa Boxing picking him up, signing him, and what they're gonna do with him. What are they doing with him?
What can they do?
And what does he want to do? Because like I said, all you ever hear about this guy, as of late, is what he doesn't want to do, what he's not gonna do.
Okay.
Whatever the fuck ever, because it was just an observation. I, as a consumer, as a boxing fan, am not actually pressed to see the next Shakur Stevenson fight. I only talked about him because he's in the news.
He is not so charismatic and his fights are not so exciting that I'm actually bothered that he's not fighting. I'm just saying for what they're paying him.
There should be more going on. The rest of the year can come and go without Shakur Stevenson fighting again, and I wouldn't bat an eyelash over it.
He's a pure boxer.
I hate that fucking style. And don't try to lecture me about you're not a real boxing fan if you can't appreciate the sweet science, because nobody expects a football fan or a baseball fan to root for every team.
Your affinity for the NBA is not gauged by how many of the teams you like, how many of them you root for. You're not expected to like all of them, so why am I expected to like every base style? Pure boxers are boring. They always have been.
I never said he wasn't skilled. I never said he wasn't accomplished. I'm just saying the way that he goes about fighting a fight, I don't really care if he fights anyway. I'm just saying that he's not fighting, and for what Zuffa is supposed to be paying for this kid, are they really getting their money's worth?
Are we? Whenever he fights. In the men's heavyweight division, young Moses Itauma's record chase cannot sell a Hrgovic pay-per-view.
A critical look at this weekend's box office fight happening in the afternoon for US DAZN subscribers, becoming the second youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history, is being used as the main selling point for Moses Itauma's August 29th fight against Filip Hrgovic. DAZN would not need to lean so heavily on a statistical record if Itauma had a more engaging personality or fought in a way that made his fans feel they had to watch him. If he defeats Hrgovic for the vacant IBF title, Itauma will be 21 years old, 8 months and 1 day old. That would move him ahead of Floyd Patterson, while leaving him behind Mike Tyson, who was 20 years old, 4 months and 22 days old when he stopped Trevor Berbick for the green and gold title.
It's just not a strong enough selling point to charge people box office prices for this fight. Mentioning Tyson invites attention that does Itauma no favors. Tyson was already must-see TV before defeating Berbick in 1986 because of the way he destroyed opponents. He pressed forward, staying in the pocket through combinations, and kept attacking until the fight was over. Itauma is not that type of heavyweight. He fights on the outside, waiting to launch one shot, rather than remaining close and overwhelming opponents with power. When opponents pressure him, he tends to retreat to escape. It's a style that looks like a bigger version of Shakur Stevenson.
Whoa, wait a minute. I wouldn't say that.
That approach may be effective, but it is not guaranteed to turn him into a pay-per-view attraction. Fans watching Tyson knew they would see aggression and violence.
Now, wait a minute now. We get plenty of aggression and plenty of violence from Moses Itauma. It's not his style that's the problem here.
His personality doesn't make up for what he lacks in the excitement department. Itauma looks half asleep during interviews and brings low energy to the promotion. He comes across as dull, rather than as a young heavyweight eager to take over the division. Patterson also won a vacant heavyweight title, defeating Archie Moore after Rocky Marciano retired. Itauma would not be breaking new ground by taking an available title. He would simply be doing it 2 months younger than Patterson. The more revealing contrast remains Tyson. Berbick held the WBC title when Tyson destroyed him in the ring. Itauma received his opportunity after Alexander Usyk relinquished the IBF title, and Frankie Sanchez agreed to step aside.
I take it that whoever wrote this article is not that high on Moses Itauma as the heir apparent to the new era of heavyweights.
Winning would make Itauma an IBF champion, but the promotional campaign is using their ages to connect two fighters whose appeal in championship victories bears little resemblance. Queensbury also waited too long to present Hrgovic as dangerous. A few interviews during Fight Week cannot transform him into a marquee name. Daniel Dubois would have brought greater attention from fans, punching power, and a real British rivalry. The age statistic is being asked to create interest in the matchup. matchup. Undercard and promotion have failed to produce. Casual fans do not purchase pay-per-views to watch someone move ahead of Floyd Patterson on a list. Their money goes towards fighters and rivalries they already care about.
No, that bit of it, that's 100% true. The boxing fans, the hardcores, and the casuals alike don't actually care if Moses Itauma does become the second youngest heavyweight to win a title.
You might argue that they really didn't care if he became the first. It would be a nice feather in his cap if he did dethrone Mike Tyson as the youngest heavyweight champion, but being honest, I don't think anyone was that pressed about it.
I wasn't.
Veteran content creator T Street Controversy reacted to the fight by saying, "I think I'm near fully back to covering boxing again. Something has been happening to me. Here's why. I'm a bit enraged that Itauma versus Hrgovic is even on pay-per-view. Like, pissed. So mad that I just want to do a preview video on the fight and cuss up a storm. Think my passion is coming back."
I feel the same way. I was wrestling with the idea of purchasing this pay-per-view, and now I've decided that I'm not going to, because running parallel to Itauma versus Hrgovic is Mayer versus Cameron.
I actually like Mayer versus Cameron as a main event more than I like Itauma versus Hrgovic. And I like the undercard for Mayer versus Cameron about as much as I like the undercard for Itauma versus Hrgovic. I might actually like Mayer versus Cameron as a card a bit more, if for no other reason than it doesn't cost me anything extra. This is when you have to say, enough is enough.
That's it. You fucking guys are out of control. Last week there was a pay-per-view. This week there's a pay-per-view.
Neither of which were pay-per-view worthy to the people intended to buy them. Because it's not the fighters and their managers, and it's not the promoters or the networks that decide what's pay-per-view worthy. We do, with our hard-earned dollars. And I'm not giving mine to you for this. This is the kind of fight I used to get as part of a subscription.
You're charging Americans more money to watch British boxers than you're charging the Brits.
And for what? To watch Moses fight a slowpoke for a vacant IBF title? Are you joking?
It's not even that I don't like Moses. I think he has the makings of the next heavyweight king. Though for now, he shouldn't be behind a paywall. What the fuck is Frank Warren thinking? What is DAZN thinking?
You want to charge pay-per-view for this? You charge the Brits. You don't charge us. We're already paying more than they are, as it is. You're putting every halfway decent fight behind a paywall for the illusion of saving us money, so that we'll subscribe to your ultimate tier. You're taking ordinary fights, overcharging for them, then telling us, well, if you subscribe to the ultimate, you save.
Bullshit!
It's fucking bullshit. So this weekend, no, I won't be paying per view. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be watching Mayer versus Cameron live, and you guys can join me.
Mayer versus Cameron is a great fucking fight anyway.
Yeah.